Hey everybody, you're watching Cole the Corn Star. Hello everybody, welcome to the farm. We got a little bit of rain last night and we are currently in the middle of corn harvest. So first things first, we're gonna look at some field conditions to see if we can get the combine out. If we can, we're gonna start combining. If we can't, we have like 10,000 other things that we can work on. First and foremost, with field conditions, we had some corn get hit with a fungal disease this year called southern rust, and it has made our stalks really weak. Looking at the stalks we have out in the field, see how we have corn down on the ground like this? That is bad. So we want to get in here and combine this corn as soon as possible because it's just going to continue to fall down more and more and more and get worse and worse. And then we'll be leaving more yield, AKA more money on the ground. So we want to get in here as fast as possible. However, looking at soil conditions right now with the rain that we got last night, I think it's just a little bit tacky yet. Up to this point, we have had one good day of combining corn. We probably have 2 more good days of combining corn to get the rest of the stuff that is kind of falling over harvested. And then once we get done with that, we are going to be switching to beans, which actually won't work out too bad because looking at these beans behind me, it looks like they have about 2 days before they're ready. When it comes to the readiness on these soybeans, number 1, we gotta let the soil dry up just a little bit. And then number 2, if we look at these plants, we can still see some green in them, especially in the bottom half. Once we start losing a few more of these green leaves, then these things will be ready to rock and roll. Since it's too wet to go into the field, my brother Cooper is going to add a couple upgrades to our combine. And while he is doing that, I have a few meetings to take care of.
All right, this is next day. This is day 2 of harvest. We got 3/4 inch of rain last night, so we are shut down for the day. This didn't work out too bad though. We had a few things we need to fix this morning. One was the combine. So we've been having a rotor loss issue where the corn wants to stay on the rotor too long. It doesn't fall out in the grates or in our concaves here, so it makes it up in the chopper and then blows it out the back. So what we're going to do is this machine, before we bought it, was told it was not a small grain machine, as in like rice, wheat, those small grains. Corn's much bigger, soybeans are bigger. So we were told it wasn't, but we found wheat in the machine when we were buying it, which whatever, is what it is. But one of the things that they do differently from a small grain to a large grain is on the rotor itself here. They have these little rasp bars. It's those silver pucks there. They just have all those, and so when you have higher capacity grain and larger grains, you're supposed to put these straight bars on that replace those. There's 4 of them here. Those help keep the grain in the rotor longer. That way it shells off and then falls down and actually gets it into your sieves instead of shooting out the chopper. So we're gonna go, we just went and got these this morning, and then we also got these rasp bars with these little spikes on it. It's supposed to help chew up residue. These go on the back of the rotor as well. So we're gonna put all this stuff on. If you're wondering what all this costs right here, it was $640 for that stuff. So what we gotta do first is we gotta pull our concaves off to get to the rotor. So there's 4 bolts across the top here. There's 2 per section, and then there's 2 in the bottom. We'll pull these off, get these out of there. Or we'll just probably just set them in the pan and slide them forward. Those things are like, I don't know, 80 pounds a piece. They're not light. So we're gonna start with that. Alrighty, we got our bars on here. Roll. So we got them offset, and then there's 2 more on the other side, 180 degrees. So that ought to help. And then we already had these spike teeth on here. There's one there, one there, one there, and one here. So we should be good there. So we're gonna pull it outside here and run it and make sure it runs smooth. Just like that, all put back together. All right, the combine is done. We also adjusted the concaves on that because we put new concaves in that a couple years ago, and then we never adjusted the stopping point on it. So with the new ones, it could go in a lot tighter. So we reset that, got it calibrated, so that's good. Zach's just pulling into the fuel truck and trailer. We're gonna throw some fuel in the combine and def. The other thing we gotta do here is on our 7140, got it set up on the auger here for soybeans, but the door, the shock right here is no good. So we got a new one here, we're gonna throw it on and keep the door staying out, because it's annoying as it never wants to stay out. So we're gonna put a new one on. This door also has a latching problem. Why? I don't know. We've tried tightening it up, never seems to want to work. Need to figure it out because it's really annoying, but that is done, so that's good. Take that. All right, just like that, we put a new bolt in here, got that in, adjusted the striker a little bit. Closes like a champ now. What do you think of that? Should have done that about 4 months ago.
I'm a little meetinged out right now. I'm gonna walk around, get some fresh air, go do some stuff on the farm for a few minutes, and then we'll go over my meetings. Now, as much as we would like to be out in the field combining right now, the rain we got last night actually didn't work out quite too bad, because last night we had our overhead grain bin, which holds about 5 semis, completely full, and then we had 4 of our semi-trailers completely full. So if we would have got started today, we pretty much would have been bottlenecked right away because we're having to dry the corn. So with it being wet, my dad was able to get that grain bin completely empty and through the dryer, as well as all of the semi-trailers. So now when we start up again, we'll have everything empty and we'll be able to take off nice and quickly, and we won't have to wait for the dryer. If you've never smelled a grain dryer before, it smells like fresh popcorn.
There's still just a tweak on her 15, so I could speed her up a little bit.
What we just did is called checking the dryer. We take a little scoop, we catch hot corn coming out of the back of the dryer, we run it into the dryer shack, we test it, and then if we need to make adjustments on the dryer, we go back and do them. My dad is the one primarily responsible for checking the dryer, and he does that exact process about 4 times an hour. I should clarify, he does that about 4 times an hour, 16 hours a day, for about 2 weeks. On a corn and soybean farm like ours, every single job during harvest is extremely important. But if I had to give a hierarchy to all of the jobs, I would say the person running the bin site is at the top, and then it would be combine operator, grain cart driver, and then last but not least, semi-drivers. If you are the guy running the bin site, you need to have a big eye for detail. You need to make sure everything is working the way that it's supposed to. If something's making a funny noise, you need to know, because you need to check it out and figure out what's going on. You're constantly greasing stuff, you're checking belts, you're checking quality of grain, you're checking moisture in the grain bins coming out of the dryer, as well as the new loads coming in on the semis. And then if anything breaks or plugs, you need to be able to fix it. The job of running the grain bins is also the longest hour job. It is not uncommon to put in 20-hour days. So on our farm, the bin site manager job belongs to my dad. For the next tier, we have the combine operator. As big and cool as the combine is, it's pretty much just a glorified $500,000 lawnmower with a ton of moving parts. As the combine operator, you have 3 main roles: set the machine, maintain the machine, and then guide everybody else out in the field. When it comes to setting up a combine, the hardest part about it is this: getting out of the cab. On modern day combines, you can change most of the settings from right here. But when you make those changes, you have to be willing to get out of the cab and go look on the ground to make sure that they are actually working. It's really easy just to press the buttons, but it's not very fun getting out of the cab 5 times to make sure it's actually doing a good job. Once we get the machine set, we are not out of the woods yet. We need to now maintain the machine. So that means as we are going along through the field and we get into different conditions of crops, we need to keep getting out to look to make sure that it is continually doing a good job all the way throughout the day. And then also, we need to pay attention to the surroundings of the combine. If something sounds funny, if something smells funny, if something looks funny, we need to notice it, because if something is out of the normal with this thing, it means something is broken, usually. And if we don't catch those things right away, it can become something extremely expensive extremely quickly. Now, the maintenance does not stop with just the combine. The combine operator is also responsible for helping maintain the grain carts. If the grain cart drivers are having any problems, the combine operator is to come over and help, at least on our operation, because the combine operator is usually the person in the field who has the most experience with everything there. So chances are, if something's going on with the grain carts, the combine operator has experienced it before and can help. And kind of the same thing goes for the semis. Speaking of grain carts and semis, the final job of the combine operator is to guide everybody in the field. The combine operator is basically the quarterback. They are calling the plays for the grain cart drivers as well as the semi drivers, so that way everybody knows what's going on. If there's a confusion in the field, it's the combine operator's fault. On our operation, the main combine operators are my brother Cooper and yours truly, me. Out of my brother and I'm gonna go ahead and say, when it comes to getting stuff done, my brother is a better combine operator. When it comes to fixing things out in the field on the combine, the grain carts, or the semis, my brother is hands down way better at it than I am. Now, on the flip side, when it comes to fixing technology inside of the cabs, as well as setting the combine for performance for nice, clean grain, I am better at that than my brother. And I'm also a little bit better at talking. So it really depends on who the crew is out in the field. If we have a more experienced crew that doesn't really need a lot of direction, my brother does a better job inside of the combine. But if we have new people in the semis or the grain carts, I'm a little bit better because I can help them with their monitors, and I also talk to them a little bit more and give them a little bit more guidance. Next up, we have the combine chasers, aka the grain carts. The grain carts have two main roles. Role number one, they need to make sure that the combine stays moving. So when the combine gets full, they come pulling up under the auger, they get filled up. When they get full, they go to the semi, they dump, and then they come back as fast as they can. On our operation, we have two of them, and they are both busy all day long. The second role of the grain cart operator is if anybody brings food or something to drink out to the combine operator, the grain cart operator receives it, and they drive it out to the combine operator, and they ensure that they get it. To be a grain cart operator, you need to be willing to endure some bumps going across the field, and you also need to be willing to be confused half the time because you have no idea what the combine operator is doing. I almost forgot one more thing that the grain cart operators are responsible for. Since they are the ones filling the semis, they need to make sure that they fill them just right. We don't want semis that are too light, and we also don't want semis that are overloaded. On our operation, since we have two grain carts, the way we do it is the person running the big grain cart is the person who has the most grain cart experience, and then the person running the smaller grain cart is the person who has the less grain cart experience. For this year's harvest, running the grain carts, Zach is running the big one, and then my brother-in-law Kevin is running the small one. Now, last but not least, we have the semi-operators. As the semi-operator, you have two main roles. You need to maintain the semi, make sure everything's in tip-top shape, and then number two, you get the grain from the field, you bring it here to the bin site, you dump it at the bin site, you go back to the field, and you keep repeating that process until we're done with harvest. Driving a semi is simple, but it is not an easy task. There are a lot of things to watch out for on these trucks, and they weigh about 80,000 pounds when they are fully loaded, so that's a lot of load to be going down the road, and you gotta be paying attention to a lot of things because bad things can happen in a hurry if you don't. In order for us to legally drive the semis, we have to have a commercial driver's license or a CDL. I have my CDL, Zach has his CDL, Cooper has one, and so does my dad, so we can all drive the semis, but usually it's either my dad, Cooper, or I. And a semi, it just kind of depends who's running the combine. All right, I was able to catch my breath a little bit on the farm, get some fresh air. Let's talk about my meeting that I just got done having. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the farm mansion, where we are currently doing a 100% remodel, restoration, and addition. We're doing a lot of work to this thing. And at the moment, we're sitting here with bare studs and insulation and the existing farmhouse part, and then we have the addition on the other side of that wall. And right now we're in the process of getting everything dry framed in. So we're trying to get all the walls built, all the plywood on, all of the vapor barrier on the outside, as well as the roof. So that way we can get the inside insulated. Then hopefully we can be working in here during the winter time in some heat. And speaking of heat, at the moment, we don't have any heat in the house, and we also don't have any air conditioning. So that was actually what my meeting was about today. It was all of the future heating, venting, and air conditioning plans for the entire house. In order for us to heat the house, we are going to be running a boiler system that is going to be heating up water, and it's going to run it through the floors. We are going to have heated floors in the entire house. So today we were deciding on our boiler setup, and come to find out, we're not going to need one. We're not going to need two. We are going to need 3 boilers. The heated floors are going to be the primary source of heat, but during what they call the shoulder seasons, or think early spring, late fall, where it's not really cold, it's not really hot, it's kind of in between, we're gonna have another method for heating the house. And the same method is also going to be used to cool the house. And that method is through the use of multi-head mini splits that will be located up in the ceiling. This will give each room in the house individual control over the temperature within the room. So every bedroom, the offices, any space where we want the temperature to be different, we are going to have those. The only spaces that will share spaces are all the common areas. So like the hallways, the stairwells, the big open areas, that kind of thing. In the entire house, we are going to have 19 different zones. So we will be able to control the heating in all of those through the heated floors, as well as the multi-head mini splits for heating. And then we'll be able to control the air conditioning side of them as well. So right now we're looking at 3 boilers, and we are looking at pretty much 19 multi-head mini splits. That's a lot of equipment. A lot of equipment. And then we also have all of the auxiliary stuff that goes with it, all the wires, all of the coolant running lines, and then for the heated flooring, all of the lines that actually carry the hot water inside of the floors. We're looking at a lot of material. So the reason why I wanted to take a walk around the farm after the meeting was just to kind of clear my head a little bit. Up to this point in the project, which we're about a year and 9 months into it, every piece that we have done, we've been able to take pretty much a little bite off of, and then just manage that little bite. And then once we digest that bite, we take another bite, and then another and another and another. When I was talking to the HVAC guys today, I realized that all of a sudden we are going to have like 20 bites thrown at us at once in order to get things together. So I've been so used to just 1 bite at a time and being able to manage that, or maybe 2. But now we're looking at a lot. And so I guess it was just a realization today that, holy cow, this thing is coming together quick, and I need to get my stuff together so that way I actually have everything planned out and ready to go. So once this stuff gets here, we will actually be able to start doing some stuff with it instead of people sitting there waiting on me to get a bunch of information together. So it was just kind of a, I guess, a little bit of a kick in the back of, all right, Cole, you need to get up on the horse and get moving. Now, unfortunately, my meetings took a good chunk of the day, and the sun's starting to go down now, so I don't really have time outside to work on framing, so I'm going to jump into the basement. Welcome to the basement, where I am currently trying to get this thing ready for insulation. The other day, I took a drill bit, and I drilled a hole in the piece of wood that is sitting on top of this concrete wall every 12 inches, all the way around the entire basement. Due to the fact that there is no capillary break between the concrete and the wood, I am concerned about this wood rotting. So, those are the little holes that I drilled. Inside of those little holes, I am going to be taking these little sticks of boron that I have, and I'm gonna be shoving them inside of there. And those little sticks of boron have antimicrobial properties to them, or they prevent wood from rotting. They're used in log cabins. So we are going to stick those inside of those holes, so then when they come in here and they close cell spray foam insulation everything up, if any moisture ever gets up inside of that wood and it starts threatening the integrity of the wood, those little sticks of boron boron will dissolve and they will help prevent that wood from rotting. At this point, I've got about 20 in and I've got about 180 more to do. Necesitamos poner los guantes. So these are the little boron sticks that we're sticking inside of there. They almost feel like a piece of chalk that's made out of glass. That's about the best way I can describe it. You can't really see what I did, but I got all of the little boron rods in the holes now, so that is done. So technically speaking, everything that has this black dimple board on it is now ready to be insulated. It is now pitch black outside. To be completely honest, at this point in the house project, with harvest going on and trying to get everything general contracted, since I'm the general contractor of the house project, my goal right now is really just to get one thing done a day on the house, because I feel like if I get one thing done a day over the next year, I'll get 365 things done. Farm work right now is the priority of what we are doing, because I mean, as we could see out in the field today, stuff is starting to fall down, and that has a real financial impact when we lose yield on the ground. So that is priority number one, to get that done. And then priority number two is the house. I'd like to hold them as same priorities right now, but I can't. There is one of me. So I am 100% trying to do my best on this. I'm trying to put as much time into it as I can. But on a day like today, where we had a bunch of meetings and stuff, there's only so much that you can get done. So I apologize for not really getting a lot of stuff done today. We got a lot of stuff done, but from a filming perspective, we did not. And also, I am losing my voice a little bit right now, so I think I'm going to call it a day here so I can get some rest and have my voice for tomorrow. So this is all I got for today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.